If you're thinking about making the move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, then you're going to want to watch this video. I have a guest with me today. Today's guest is a transplant. She is a relocation empty nester that has lived in California, in Hawaii, in Dallas, and she is now in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we are going to get her perspective and her take on what it's like living here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If this is your first time to our channel and you want to know everything that there is to know about living in Tulsa, Oklahoma and the surrounding suburbs, then tap that little bell notification and subscribe. That way you can be the first to know what's going on in our local Tulsa area real estate market. I'm Sabrina Shaw. Me and my business partner and our team, we make these videos for you so that if you're thinking about making that move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, you reach out to us, and it doesn't matter if it's 9 days, 90 days, 9 months. It's never too early and it's never too late to give us a call. We would love to show you around town. If you have spent any time on our channel recently, you have probably seen Kathy. And again, make sure that you subscribe because we have had quite the journey since she has been a YouTube subscriber, YouTube client, came to Tulsa. We met up that way. Kathy and I are now business partners, and this has nothing to do with the video today, but we will have a video later on that talks about just some of the excitingness that's going on. But Kathy is the absolute perfect guest because she is not from Tulsa. And I love that because I get her feedback all the time. So her perspective that she gives is completely valuable. So first off, Kathy, what places have you lived?
What places haven't I lived? I was born in Pennsylvania. I grew up in Northern California. In the late 90s, I moved to Texas. Actually, I lived in Hawaii. I lived in Maui. So a little bit of everywhere. And now Oklahoma.
Where would you say that you spent the most time?
Probably Texas. Yeah, probably Texas in the Dallas area.
So when you started your journey with looking to relocate and move to Tulsa, what things stood out to you? Like, how did Tulsa even become on the radar?
It is a very interesting story. My last child had graduated from high school. And so I wanted to go do something for myself. And I looked at all sorts of different places all over the country, from Arizona to Florida. And I didn't know where I wanted to be. And my kids at the time, my daughter was at OU, my son was at OSU. And Tulsa was kind of right in the middle of everybody without being weird. So that's actually how I chose Tulsa. I ended up in Tulsa pretty much sight unseen. It was a gut feeling. I felt like I was being called to Tulsa. I got on YouTube. Actually, what I did was I got on YouTube and I was like, Tulsa. It just came to me in the middle of the night one night, and I was like, Tulsa? I've never even heard of Tulsa. What's in Tulsa? And so I got on YouTube, and you were the first person that came up on YouTube, and I was looking at the videos, and I'm like, that looks like a really nice place to live. And didn't really do much of it, and ended up moving to Tulsa and hung out for a little while just to kind of get my bearings. And I have been blown away. And I was thinking to myself that of all of the places I've lived, Oklahoma is by far my favorite. More favorite than Hawaii or Texas, and it may be just the time of my life, but I was literally thinking this morning how much of the jackpot I hit in moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tell me more about that. Name some things specifically that make you feel that way.
And I'm not going to say the historic Warren Theater. You can cut that.
No, don't cut that.
The single thing I'm most blown away by is the beauty. The beauty here in Tulsa, Oklahoma is mesmerizing. I envision Tulsa flat, brown. Tulsa is stunningly gorgeous with its greenery and the trees. And this time of the year, oh my goodness, the trees have colors of orange that I've never even seen before. I didn't even know existed. It's beautiful. The diversity, I was surprised at how diverse Tulsa is. It is super diverse. There's universities. There's Oral Roberts University. There's University of Tulsa. There's a younger component. Then there's business professionals. There's industrial professionals. There's people from all different walks of life, religion, background. And the really cool thing, Sabrina, is that people are all friendly, super friendly. I thought people in Texas were friendly. This is a whole nother level of friendly.
That is one thing. Everything that you've said that I completely love. And let me tell you, this fall is not our most most beautiful fall. We didn't have the rain like we usually do, so it's not even the colors that you normally get. Sometimes we can have even more beautiful falls.
I was here that last fall.
Oh, yes. So the fact that you still think it's beautiful is amazing. But yes, people here are nice. Like, we're nice people.
And I think, why should that be shocking, right? Because we live in a world today, it's divisive, you know, and people are not necessarily friendly. And if you don't like what I like, I don't like you. I don't find that at all in this town. I mean, I'm sure it exists. I haven't run into it, but that's not what this place is about. Young, old, straight, gay, black, white, it doesn't matter. Like, everybody just seems friendly and happy to be here. That struck me the most. And having been here now over a year, it hasn't dissipated. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think when I was in Miami for EXPCon, I was with one of my really good friends, and she is from Washington. And so you just have, like, she's just funny, like, she's West Coast. And so this guy, we were walking along the boardwalk to the convention center, and he like put up his hand for a high five, and she just did this and like didn't want to talk to him. She's like, "Ooh, I don't know him." And we laughed, and I was like, okay, that is Midwestern.
Want to see some Oklahoma?
I was like,
we walk until our hands hurt in Oklahoma. But it's so true. Little things, like if you happen to be out of town or you miss putting your garbage cans back up, people put my trash back up. What? Really? There's always things going on in neighborhoods. I'm always seeing things going on about neighborhood functions, and there's so much to do for all walks of life, for retirees, for kids. I mean, again, I was expecting Tulsa, Oklahoma, podunk, to the point where I even got on the internet to see if they had a supermarket or a Costco. And not only do they have a Costco, but there are multiple Sam's Clubs and big
we
box
have the largest Costco,
right?
In Owasso.
Not only do you have Costco, but you have the biggest Costco. We have all of those things. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said there were like 3 or 4, I don't remember the number, but James Beard nominations in Tulsa. I mean, Tulsa, like there aren't that many in New York City and in Tulsa. So there's dining, there's entertainment, there's hockey. We don't have a professional football team or a professional baseball team, but that's okay.
But we have minor league, which is super fun. The drillers.
And that is a really great point, Sabrina. People in Tulsa just have fun. Like, we don't need to have a professional sport. We're just as happy going to the hockey rink, you know, or the
Driller Stadium.
You know, we're just as happy gathering and being with our people. And that's what you get in Tulsa that I haven't found anywhere. You eventually find your people wherever you live. I found my people instantly because everybody's kind of my people here. It's a really unique place to live. And like I said, this morning, I was just thinking, I really hit the jackpot moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma with the cost of living, the beauty, the friendliness of everybody. And I get to work with you.
I'm so glad you moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Me too.
I'm so glad you found the channel. When you were talking about, you know, just like neighbors being nice, one of our clients, she moved from Arizona to Owasso, actually Collinsville. Gorgeous house, like great piece of land, fantastic. Her daughter's in gymnastics, and so she put him in a gymnastics program. And, you know, I was talking to her, she's like, if I'm working, moms are taking my kids home. They're glad to do it. You know, she's like, they help me. Like that neighborly, which I've taken for granted. Like, I just think that, you know, it is what it is.
It is like that, you know, all the time in my neighborhood Facebook group, if somebody just had a baby or somebody just had surgery or meal trains are put together so people bring meals so you don't have to cook and everybody's taken care of. People offer to babysit, watch kids. It's so polar opposite to what's going on in the rest of the world in my perception, right? In my perception. But, you know, I just feel happiness.
I love that. And I want to touch on another thing that you said. You said, you know, when you thought of Tulsa, you thought it was podunk. And so, you know, we have Tulsa Remote here, and a lot of people come through Tulsa Remote and they don't know what Tulsa is, just like you didn't. And so you have that, you know, you're thinking of Oklahoma, you're thinking of Tulsa. You have that perception. You said it's different. You talked about the trees, and you said there's a Costco. But what kind of things?
Want to move here now? We got trees and Costco.
Well, and they had the restaurants, and I will say, you know, I'm a foodie. I'm a big time foodie, and I will put our local restaurants and chefs here up against, like, when I travel. I mean, it's good, but like Tulsa has phenomenal food
and great places to hang out. Cigar bars and downtown and all sorts of different places to gather for people of all ages, you know, and that is something too I've noticed. When I go to events and things like that, there are people of all ages there. We go to the hockey rink or, you know, things things like that. It's just awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna gear this towards people wanting to move to Tulsa in a second, but one thing I remember, we were chatting and you were talking about the sports too, like that was something that surprised you here with the nature of the Little League teams and the high school sporting, so tell me, a little bit about that perspective.
Well, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I had the Oakland A's, the San Francisco Giants, the San Francisco 49ers, the Oakland Raiders. I grew up in a sports town, area. So I was wondering what that was going to be like. So I was really excited to see that there's a lot to do here. It might not be professional sports, but what I was blown away by are the high school sports out here. Bixby High School actually won state in football. And if you're from Texas or Oklahoma or anywhere like that, that matters. And I'm sure if you're from a state that won state, it matters there. But here it's a really big deal. And people start their kids out early, for sports. So there's all sorts of complexes here that have sprouted up to get your kids ready and have them more competitive. I'm just amazed at all of the sports and the programs that are here for kids. And yeah, I called some of my Texas friends and said, you know what, we weren't winning, but they are over here. So maybe come on down.
Yeah, so there's tons of Little League opportunities. And yes, football is big here, but basketball is big, wrestling. And academics, like the bigger schools, they have like great academics and robotics, which isn't what you talked about, but I'm just adding it in.
Thank you. You used to be...
Well, I was a teacher, high school principal, and assistant superintendent. So yeah, I have to talk about the education. So our big schools in the Tulsa area, like we have some of the top school districts in the state of Oklahoma. We've got Bixby, we've got Jinx, we've got Owasso, we've got Broken Arrow. Like those are all, top schools, according to niche.com. It's a really cool environment. Like people love supporting their schools and supporting their local sports and and the performing arts, like band and color guard, cheerleading isn't a performing arts, but cheerleading, dance. I mean, there's opportunities for your kids to be involved. FFA, which I love that too. Speech, like so many good things.
So many good things. I mean, just a really well-rounded, diverse community. I'm not going to call it a city or a metro. It feels like a community. And I know I keep saying it's so unique and it's so rare, but it really is. The high school kids in my neighborhood go and mow the lawns for people who are older. I'm like, what? For free? Because their parents made them. Or maybe they didn't. They were just raised well. I'm just like, it's very family oriented. I'm an empty nester.
Yeah.
So I've had my family oriented time, but nobody treats me like, you old lady. I'm invited to neighborhood things, and I love that about Tulsa.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about housing and price point. How far your dollar will stretch. How did you feel going into Tulsa, looking to buy your house in the different price points? Like, tell me how your impression of that.
What I was very impressed with is how far your dollar goes here in Tulsa. And again, kind of that hodunk podunk vision I had in my head. I figured everything was going to be out in a farm and, like that. And there weren't going to be any neighborhoods. And, just that typical thought that you have about Oklahoma, right? As a real estate agent, I had a very, great opportunity to see all sorts of different properties and all sorts of different price ranges. And what I'm most impressed with are neighborhoods. Like very rarely do you ever drive into a neighborhood and just go, oh, no. Like that doesn't happen here in Tulsa. I mean, there's something for everybody here, and from the 200,000s to the 2 millions and everything in between. And every place is a nice place to live.
The pride in ownership. And that's where I think like you can go in all different kind of neighborhoods, in the suburbs, in Tulsa. And there is like really this pride of ownership. It doesn't matter if it's like a $200,000 neighborhood, $500,000 $1 million, like even these cute $200,000 neighborhoods, there is pride of ownership, and they're charming and they're cute. And you have the bigger ones and they're beautiful, and it's just charming.
It's charming, and again, it's a sense of community. And we just came off of Halloween.
But Halloween is so fun.
It is, but I mean, everybody in my neighborhood was decked out. I mean, there must have been 10,000 kids in my neighborhood running around. It was crazy. And then we rolled right into Christmas, which I love, and I didn't get heat for being the only person in my neighborhood that had Christmas lights up in October, which was really nice. We get a discount if you put them up in October, and I really like Christmas lights. And if you're going to pay for them, why not have them for a long time?
Were you the only one that put them on? So
what was really neat about this neighborhood in Oklahoma is usually in Texas, I was the only one that put them up in October. But half of my neighborhood already has Christmas lights up in October, and that's really nice. In Texas, I had an HOA that said you can have your holiday decor up 30 days prior and 30 days post holiday. So I always got the hate mail for October. But in Oklahoma, Oklahoma, bring it on, bring on the Christmas lights. And it's just festive.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's festive around all the holidays. 4th of July was amazing. Easter was amazing. You know, all of the holidays, there's just people gather here. It's just community.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
I love hearing that, and it's so true. And again, I've just grown up that way, so I just see it. So I didn't know really that it's different coming from somewhere else. But I do want to touch on the HOA because when we talk to a lot of you guys, you're like, I don't want HOA, I don't want HOA, I don't want HOA, like over and over. That's probably one of our most popular requests. Sometimes because we're looking for a little more space and more land. But I do tell people like our HOAs are different. Yeah. There are some, rules and regulations. Some of the HOAs that are going to be more strict, like if you have an outbuilding, it has to match the outside of the house. If you're allowed to have an outbuilding, most will, some aren't, depending. Usually if you have like a half-acre lot, you're going to be able to have an outbuilding. So some things, but they're not up in your business. They're crazy.
They're not driving by every day telling me that I have weeds in my flower bed. So there's just enough oversight to where I know that there's not going to be garbage in my neighborhood and people aren't going to be parking trailers and trucks, and you can do it short term and it's fair. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not somebody trying to impose rules and regulations just for that. And it really goes along with the spirit of Oklahoma. It's just kind of laid back, but firm when it needs to be.
Yes. And we are at a slower pace. When I went to Dallas, I think I've told this story on YouTube before, but I went into the wrong way. I went into a parking lot that was private. There was a security guard there. So I rolled down my window, like I'm just gonna ask him, where to go. He barks at me. Like not literally, but like he's not friendly. Yeah. He was hateful and gruff. Like he was a curmudgeon. And I'm thinking, just smile and say you can't park here. Like, cause that's what would happen in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Like the exact
so
same thing.
True.
Takes the exact same time, but like, you can't park here. Like, that's what it was. If that would happen here, they'd be like, hey, you can't park here, but you just go around the corner. And,
It is so true. And it takes you back a little bit. Like at first you're like, where am I? What's going on? And then you just become used to it. And then you feel, this is my experience, I felt a shift in my psyche because I wasn't always kind of on guard or wondering what traffic guy was going to get mad at me or whatever. I mean, like you don't wake up and wonder what's going to happen in your day. You just know it's going to be a good day.
And it's not all rainbows and roses. We're not saying that, but it's pretty great. There's a lot of rainbows and there's a lot of roses, but it's not perfect. Again, there's something great for everybody. And if you're moving, from one of these cities, we have people from everywhere. Our most common states are, California, the DFW area, Colorado, Arizona, Oregon. So, we get a lot of people from everywhere where the cost of living here is really fantastic. And so what you can get in like 400 to 500,000 is great. But then even like moving up your budget, and when you're in that 500 to 600,000, it's completely awesome.
It's a different ball game.
Yeah, it's a different ball game. Then when you're like 600 to 800,000, you're just like, when you come here and see the housing and what you can get, most people are pleasantly surprised. And I think our build quality too.
It's amazing. I mean, we had some amazing builders in Texas, but just the quality of the build at the price point, I've been blown away. Something else I want to touch on too is the ease of getting around here, because like when I was new, when I didn't really know my way around, I used GPS for everything. And every time I popped something in the GPS, it was under 15 minutes. No matter where I was going in the Tulsa Metro, it was between 11 and 13 minutes. I was like, how is that even humanly possible? That everything that I type in, and then if it says 12 to 13 minutes, you can pretty rest assured that that's how long it's going to take you to get there, because we don't have traffic congestion. And that is so nice. And talk about places I've lived. When I lived in San Francisco in the Bay Area, I spent 6 hours a day commuting on the 101. Could you imagine 6 hours a day commuting on the 101 every single day of my life? So anyway, but it's just the ease. You can get places on toll roads. You can get places on non-toll roads, back roads. It's so easy to learn. And that's what was so great for me coming to Tulsa, especially being in real estate, is how do I learn a new city and a new metro and get myself acclimated so I know which end is up. And Tulsa's a big grid. It's so funny because a lot of times we'll be on showings and it'll say it's on this street. I'm like, we were on that street last week and it's nowhere near where we are. And it's because the street, it literally is a grid. So Urbana Street can be over here and it can be 15 miles down the road.
North and south?
Yep. East and west.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to acclimate yourself to Tulsa. So when I say you can hit the ground running here, that is an absolutely true statement. You can really hit the ground running in Tulsa.
Do you have any tips most favorite suburbs, like anything to add for everybody that they might not think about asking or that you would have wanted to know that you wouldn't have thought about asking. I know I'm completely putting you on the spot.
You know, we talked about all the things, you know, there were some things that I didn't even know that were important to me, like beauty. I didn't know that living in a beautiful area where every time you get in your car and you drive somewhere, I'm blown away at what I'm looking at and what that does to your emotional state on a daily basis when you drive through the beauty. That's the single thing I was expecting the least of how much that impacts your state of mind and living in a place of beauty that where people are friendly, where it's not hard to get around, where the cost of living is low. I don't see myself hanging my hat anywhere else. This is my landing spot.
Oh, well, I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful that the YouTube channel was helpful to you. I hope that we do these videos for you guys, again, so that if you're thinking about making that move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, our surrounding suburbs, you reach out to us. We want to show you around town. We really do make these videos to give you, you know, if you go back, like we want to give you the good, bad, the ugly. Again, it's not perfect, but it's a great place. The suburbs, you know, there's differences depending on, you know, what you want and what you need. We would kind of match a suburb with you. So we have a link where you can reach out and you can schedule a Zoom with us. Thinking about, you know, just making that move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'd love to show you around town.
Absolutely. And we'll finish with a Tulsa double high five.
Right now we've got a video, so we're going to check it. Okay.
Check it.
You like the people, you like the neighbors.
But you're like, you just like Costco and the trees. Like, I think I said more.
One thing I remember that you and I were not conversating, you hate when I say that. I say conversating. Kathy
It's conversing.
Is it an Oklahoma thing?
Weird. And it's rubbing off on you, girl.
I know.
You're letting your inner weirdness come out. It's kind of fun, ain't it?
Oh, it's kind of fun.